We are back and we've been chit-chatting a little bit. Our next guest is the Executive Director of Women Organized to Respond to Life-Threatening Disease, or WORLD. WORLD is an organization that helps to provide support for women living with or at risk for HIV or AIDS. WORLD connects HIV-positive women and their families to the communities, to one another through peer-based education support, a lot of encouragement and leadership development to help them cope and to let them know that they're not alone out there in the battle. And it's working. Please welcome Cynthia Carey-Grant. I love your name.
Thank you, Frank.
You had to marry a man named Grant with the last name Carey, right?
Yeah, I planned it from birth.
Well, it's cool. Tell us about WORLD. What is WORLD?
Well, you did it perfectly.
Well, you're the boss, though. I'd rather hear it from you.
No, actually, that's a really good question because a lot of people don't really understand that when you think about HIV and AIDS, that you should be thinking about women.
Yeah, you know, I think that is a misconception. Maybe not so much here in San Francisco because we've grown so much, but I think worldwide, especially here in the United States, people think it's more of a disease that affects men more so than women, but that's not the case, really.
Well, worldwide is over 50% women who are affected by HIV. Yeah. But in the United States, we're pushing between 26 and 30%. So most people are very ignorant to the fact that, you know, the face of HIV is not what you are thinking. It's not what it was 15, 20 years ago.
What, I guess 1 in 4 cases now, new cases, are women.
Yes.
And why it has really affected the African-American population, I guess African-American women are 15 times more greater to get HIV than others.
And over 20 times more likely to die from complications or from AIDS than a white woman. So, you know, a lot of people ask that question about how does this happen and why? And I think what they need to realize is that HIV doesn't live in a vacuum. It's the same as any other health disparity that affects a marginalized community. So there are factors like poverty, there's factors like homelessness, there are factors like other diseases that impact and affect the health of the individual.
How did you get involved in WORLD, and what exactly do they? I know they reach out, they comfort these women, they get them education, medical. First of all, how did you get involved?
Okay. I had been working in women's health for many, many years, and in particular, reproductive health and justice. And I kind of like took a break, but because during all of that time, HIV was not on the radar for me. So I didn't understand the impact on women, and I worked in women's health. So, you know, I kind of like did some research and found out how it was changing and how much it was devastating African-American women. And I said, this is crazy. So when the opportunity came to, you know, go to work for WORLD, and I had been familiar with them, I said, this is a wonderful opportunity. This is what I should be doing.
And you don't obviously give names, but can you talk about some of the people that you've been touched by, that have gone through the program, that are doing better, that are growing, that are coping, that sort of thing? Well,
a key word that we talk about is peer-driven services and peer advocacy, and that means that we have women who are HIV positive who have figured out how to live and how to thrive and have overcome a lot of the barriers and stigmas that's associated with it, helping other women. Now, I use that word stigma, and you talked about how people don't have to die from HIV anymore.
Yeah, we brought up, we talked off camera about Magic Johnson. I think when he came out in, 1991, I think, and here he is living a very fruitful life. We all thought it was a death sentence. I think he did too, but it's not the case anymore.
But what is still the case is the impact of stigma. Stigma on individuals, and particularly women and families. There are people who would rather put themselves at risk for serious illness and death rather than to reveal to their church, to their family, to their community that they have HIV.
Wow.
And that's because, you know, if you have HIV, there must be something you did. We don't look at it as a disease.
Right.
We don't react that way when you talk about cancer. We don't react that way when you talk about diabetes or health disease. So this is a major problem. What people are dying from is the consequences of the stigma.
Now, WORLD started as a newsletter years ago and has grown. It's in 80 some odd countries now. You're based here in the Bay Area. Do your programs reach out, or is it more the services are here but the newsletter goes? worldwide?
It is about the services being here. So we provide direct services, and you know, these are wellness and health services. It's mental health services. It's linking women to care. So that's what we do directly here in the community. But we pioneered the peer-based model for serving women, and we've taken that model out across the country and trained women across the country on that same model. And we've also done advocacy. Our advocacy is a nationwide effort. And we've also done some international work.
Yeah. So
you talked about World being born, you know, actually it was born at the table, the kitchen table of a woman by the name of Rebecca Dennison, who upon discovering that she was HIV positive, tried to find some information and realized she couldn't get anything, so she created an organization. Women do that.
Yeah. And how do, are you a nonprofit? How are you funded? If folks want to help you out, how do they do that?
We are a nonprofit, and we were talking about when World was founded, so I would be remiss not to say that this is our 20th anniversary. Yes. We've been here 20 years, and we're going to be celebrating our 20 years on March 1st.
And I know the gal that's emceeing that. I've never met her, but Barbara Rogers was here for decades.
Yes, and we have an incredible young woman who is HIV positive, who will be telling her story because she focuses on youth. Her name is Marvelyn Davis. So we're going to have an event, and we really want people to come and celebrate with us because we're really doing great things in the community, nationally and internationally.
All right, Cynthia, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in and sharing. If you'd like more information on women's organized to respond to life-threatening disease or world, please visit womenhiv.org. All one word. Back right after the break, right after this, so stick around, everybody.